Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words, a place where women in business come to learn more about health, beauty, body language, and communication. That's a lot. I'm Christine Brunelli, chiropractor and former beauty salon owner, turned certified image consultant and business coach, helping you glow from the inside out so that you show up with fierce confidence as you engage with the world around you. Today, we're going to talk about your fierceness when it comes to how you get yourself from one level to the next, meaning out of your comfort zone and into the stretch and growing zone. There are so many different levels to this. Are you comfortable right now? And are you stuck? Because sometimes being comfortable means you're stuck and not growing. And I am positive there is something in your life that you want to improve, you want to get to the next level. So let's unpack how this discomfort is the currency of your success. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. If you know that quote, you've heard it. It's Ellen DeGeneres' voice, and it's from the movie Finding Nemo. She did the vocals or the voice acting for the character Nemo, a little clownfish. This movie is a Disney film that's not about necessarily a business person overcoming obstacles and discomfort to get to their goal, but it is a movie about getting out of your comfort zone. And it's the first thing I thought of when I thought about doing this episode. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'll give you a quick recap. By the way, I think you should watch it. It is so entertaining. It's appropriate for all ages. Hilarious jokes in there for adults. They'll get it. The kids won't, but it's so good. It's really good. But Marlin is the father clownfish, and he's like a helicopter parent, super controlling. Nemo can't get without his reach. He'll get really nervous. He's very helicopterish. And Nemo is just this bumbling little young clownfish, and he happened to get scooped up. He got where he shouldn't have been. He went out of bounds, got scooped up by a human, and taken away. And Marlin had to get out of his comfort zone to save his son. And the whole movie, it's full of obstacles and it's full of humor and it's full of all different challenges both little fish end up going through to eventually get reunited in the end of the movie. It's hilarious. It's comical. There's a lot of different stories in there that are great for kids to learn without them knowing they're learning. But the just keep swimming part is where the little fish is nervous and knows they're on the right path, but they're like telling themselves, just keep swimming, I'll be okay. And sometimes I've used that line specifically from a cartoon movie to help myself keep going forward. Isn't that funny? Like a Disney film for kids, but that one line has stuck with me. My kids are in their 20s, and I saw that years and years and years ago, but that one line stuck with me as an adult. I'm positive at some point in your life, you had to get out of your comfort zone to accomplish something. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was to have a tough conversation with someone. Maybe it was to give an employer 2 weeks notice because you couldn't do it and you were nervous. Like that's getting out of your comfort zone. Or maybe it's asking for a raise. That is a huge one for people. They're so afraid to ask for a raise, but they feel like they're entitled to a raise. Huge. Maybe it's leaving a toxic relationship or putting yourself out there for an audition. People that are in the theater or some type of arts where they have to audition, they all have to get out of their comfort zone. It's not natural for some people to go out there and put themselves out there. We assume because we see them on a screen that they must be really confident in that. Not always. How about what I do and the work that I do? I help female entrepreneurs, professional women, coaches, course creators get confident on camera in photo and video, so they put themselves out there more to increase their visibility and grow their business. That's an example of getting out of your comfort zone. All of these things don't happen unless we get out of what's comfortable. Another example of comfort zone. If you make a goal, I've talked about this so many times on this show. In January, we make all these intentions, New Year's resolutions, and they're almost always about health, wealth, or relationships, right? I'm going to choose health because health is a big one. And I'm going to go to the gym and work out 3 days a week. And I have to do it early in the morning because I can't do it at night. If it's at night, I won't go. I'm too tired. So they set a goal to get up and, give themselves an extra hour and a half in the morning because they have to get up, get dressed, get to the gym, work out, shower, and then go to work. And they're not comfortable because they're more comfortable under the warm blankets for the 90 minutes that they would have to get up. That's an example of comfort zone. This is how comfort zone feels. So maybe right now you feel like life is good. I'm good. I'm comfortable. I'm not being challenged. I'm stable. I'm comfortable. I'm safe. It feels easy. I'm secure. There's not a lot of life. I might be even a little bit bored. That's your comfort zone. Comfort zone has no stretch. No stretch. Have you ever stretched your hamstrings or any part of your body where you felt like that tension, where it wasn't comfortable, like you took it too far, it wasn't comfortable, that kind of stretch? That zone can actually feel a little bit exciting. It has some anticipation to it, right? And, if you go on a regular stretching habit, you start to notice you can stretch more. The more I stretch, the more flexible I get. You feel challenged. You have expectation. You feel more alive because you can feel your muscles. It feels exhilarating. That is where you want to be if you want to move the needle in success. And I'm going to give you some real life examples. I can speak to this. Now, me giving you my life examples of where I've exercised getting out of my comfort zone to improve my life and find success are not just in my business. They're in my personal life as well. And I'm going to preface it to say there are still areas that I need to get out of my comfort zone in. I know how to do it, but there are times where I hit pause and I don't do it as quickly as I should. So even though I'm really good at this, I thrive in uncertainty. I am an Enneagram 7. I love uncertainty. I'm one of those weirdos, but that doesn't mean that I am an expert in getting out of my comfort zone. It just means that I might be more inclined to get out of my comfort zone than someone with a different personality type. I want to recognize that and honor you if you are slow to get out of your comfort zone, because honestly, a lot of our comfort zone issues come from our background and how we were shaped as children and all of the things that shaped our personalities when we were like 0 to 7 years old. And sadly, a lot of children that grow up in trauma learn a lot of survival skills. And I grew up in a traumatic childhood. And so I had to learn a lot of survival skills, and very young age did not realize that's what it was doing for me. But I was still slow on the uptake to face challenges and throw myself out there, until a little bit later in life. And here's one real example that a lot of people can probably relate to. I had to have a conversation with my husband because I was moving out of the house. We had been married over 20 years. Things were not going well. We were not in an argument and fight when I decided it. I decided to have that conversation when things were a little bit on the calm side because I didn't want it to be born out of an argument, but tons of arguments and bickering led up to that. So I had the conversation. My voice was shaking. I didn't want to hurt him, and I knew what I was doing was going to devastate him. But for me and my mental health, I needed to hit pause. I needed to move out of the family home. That is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Let me have a baby over and over again times 10 with no meds. By the way, that's how I did it. I had home birth. I would do that 10 times in a row to not have to say something that was going to hurt someone and crush their heart, but it's my truth that I had to walk into. That is my number one biggest example, that in a personal space of having to get out of my comfort zone because it was going to force the relationship into the next place. There's got to be something that moves a needle in a relationship. Somebody's going to have to take the step, and maybe that's you. Now let's talk about it in business. In a previous episode, I just shared this example. I have so many in business because I've owned businesses for 30 plus years. I've been an employer for 30 years. And in the previous episode, I shared this story. So if you're hearing it again, I apologize, but it's a really great story to display this example. I had an employee who I adored. I loved her. She was great, but she did something that was damaging to my business, and I had to let her go. My voice was shaking, just like in my marriage. The same thing, my voice was shaking. I had to have the conversation and say, I'm so sorry. This isn't going to work out. I need to let you go. I mean, I didn't have to make it a long conversation, but it was enough that she knew I valued her, but that she could no longer remain an employee. That's a terrible, horrible conversation. Another conversation is I had to have a conversation with an employee who did not use deodorant or shower. It was terrible. Clients were complaining. Have you ever had to have a conversation that was uncomfortable and tell someone they stink? It's awful. Okay, so conversations, obviously, that's something that I have tackled. I have conversations that are difficult. I get out of my comfort zone. How easy is it to just sit there and go, it'll pass. But then it happens again. Oh, maybe they'll change. You're still sitting there twiddling your thumbs. It happens again. Oh, maybe they'll start using deodorant. Maybe this coworker will XYZ. Maybe this friend, maybe this husband, maybe whatever. You just sit with it. You're safe. You're secure. You're not challenged. You don't say anything, but you're not living true to self because inside you know something needs to be said to take that to the next level. That's comfort zone. Now let's talk about work, leaving a job. Is the job the right job for you? Do you need to jump? Do you need to get out of it? Do you dream of being an entrepreneur? Is it something that's in you? I know people that are in this position right now. They have a very secure job, not necessarily happy. I mean, there's times in the work that they love, and there's people that have bosses they can't stand, but the situation for them, they kind of have some perks that they really like, but they dream of being their own boss. They dream of running their own show in a different way, and they dream of how they're going to tell this boss or how they're going to have the courage to even get there, to open their own business. How do I do it? So instead of exploring it and then taking baby steps forward, they stay because they have a regular paycheck. There's no uncertainty. There is no challenge. They're secure. They're safe. They might not be happy, but they're safe. They have a job. Do you see how that feels, that comfort zone feels? Now, when it comes to any other change in your lifestyle or your habits, it's all the same. Getting up earlier to go to the gym, that's getting out of your comfort zone. Going to networking events, attending meetings that force you to talk to people when you're an introvert, that's getting out of your comfort zone. Where are you stuck? And how are we going to get you out of it? Before I talk to you about that, I want to talk about one area of being stuck that is completely different than going from comfort zone to stretch, exciting zone. And that is paralyzed fear zone. That's think of this like a bullseye. So your comfort zone is in the middle. I'm warm and comfy under my blankets. I'm not making any waves. Everything's good. I'm humming along. I'm not 100% happy, but this is my space. And that's the bullseye. And then the next circle around the bullseye is that stretch zone, the hamstring stretch, right? Or something where it starts to feel really exhilarating, like, oh, I'm doing a thing. I'm doing it. Okay, that's that zone. And the next circle on the bullseye is kind of like the frozen zone. That's where I can't do it. I want to do it. There is no way. There's just no way. These are the feelings in that zone: anxiety, stress, fear, fatigue, fed up, frozen. That area, that circle, is where you are not making any progress, but you're so unhappy on the inside. If you're a woman in business, female entrepreneur, someone who has a side hustle, you're a woman in leadership or influence, and you know that you should be showing your face on camera in social media, or you're a course creator and you need to record your digital course, but the idea of getting on video is daunting, I have something for you. On May 1st through May 3rd, I have a free, 100% free camera confidence challenge that is going to teach you everything you need to know to look and feel fabulous on camera and show up with confidence so that you can attract your dream audience with ease. Don't like how you look in photos or sound on video? I've got you. Have no idea how to use lighting and camera angles to be more flattering? I've got you. Don't know what you're going to say when you actually go live on anything? I've got you there too. This is going to deliver so much free value for you that you will be sharing on video by the end of 3 days. The link to join is in the show notes. You can listen right now and go to the show notes and tap the link, 3-Day Camera Confidence Challenge, and you'll be in 100% free and confident on camera by the end of day 3. I hope to see you there. Now, I want to go back to Finding Nemo. If you haven't seen this movie, I'll give you a backstory. I told you it's a story of just overcoming obstacles so that the helicopter father fish could be reunited with his young, adventurous little fish that got lost. Well, the reason that little fish got lost is because in the beginning of the movie, he ventured out over the drop off of the coral reef. And if you've ever been snorkeling on a reef and you dropped, I know exactly how this feels. There was a place in Hawaii, it was in Kauai. There is a place that's really popular in Kauai, Hawaii called Tunnels for snorkeling. And Tunnels is a really beautiful place to have an experience with beautiful fish, but you have to kind of walk out in beach shoes over coral, kind of rocks, all this stuff. And then it's shallow snorkeling, pretty comfortable, maybe 4 feet deep. And then all of a sudden, you're on a cliff, an ocean cliff. You look down and it goes dark. Well, in the movie Finding Nemo, Nemo went off into the abyss, right? So didn't drop down. He actually swam up because he was trying to prove that he could do something to his dad, right? Anyway, his dad had fear. He was paralyzed and terrified of that cliff. And he was terrified of that drop off. And he kept telling his little boy, you can't do this. Don't do this. You're not a strong enough swimmer. And really the whole time it was the father that was frozen. And so the story is about the father overcoming the obstacles. And the whole lesson, the whole thing in this movie is so good because he has to overcome one scary thing after another, but getting over the fear of being away from the safety of his comfort zone, where he was around all the sea anemones and the coral and the other fish, and he recognized it. But once he got out into the big, deep blue ocean, he learned how to tackle one thing at a time, but he was frozen. So the thing that moved him to force him to get over the fear of going over that cliff was he had to get his son, right? It was just something so major. And if you're a parent, I know you can relate to that. If you would do anything, you would go to the ends of the earth. You didn't care. You don't care how afraid you were. You wouldn't stop until you could be reunited with a child that's lost or whatever. You can relate to that story. There is nothing that would stop you. But for some reason, if we don't have peril or tragedy or trauma forcing us into these situations, we sit there. What keeps us stuck in this frozen zone? I want to get you out of the frozen zone. So getting into the stretch zone, you dip your toe in, it feels good, and you're like, oh, I can do this, and I'm going to do it more and more. But going into the frozen zone, like the father fish in Finding Nemo, he wasn't going there. There wasn't anything on God's green earth or the blue ocean that was going to get him there until his son got lost. So what are we going to do if you have some kind of paralyzing fear that you're just like, the same thing? I'm not doing it. I just can't. I can't. Let's take that apart. Why can't you? I mean, what is it? And ultimately what it is what you're telling yourself. It's your thoughts. Are your thoughts being truthful to you? Why can't you? Why can't you do the thing that you need to do? What is keeping you so frozen? Is it the fear of feeling an emotion? Are you going to die from feeling that emotion? Probably not. That's the worst case scenario. And I'm not going to tell you go do something if it's going to harm you physically, right? If it's going to damage your health or anything like that. But if it's something in your mind, you're like, I just can't, I don't know how this person, I don't know what they'll say. I don't know what to expect. You're fearing emotions. So you're not trusting that you can handle your own emotions. That's where confidence, really, the root of confidence is right in that center piece right there. Trusting that you can manage your emotions. You're not trusting that you know what's going to happen on the other side of that thing that you're in your discomfort, what that's going to happen. You're not trusting that you know what will happen, but your confidence will trust that you can handle yourself no matter what happens. So what is it that's keeping you frozen? When I meet people that are afraid to show up on camera in my work, for example, I'm the camera confidence queen. I help women in business and leadership or women of influence who want to promote their business and increase their visibility. I help them show up on camera. And so many of them are phenomenal boss babes, but put the camera in front of their face and they shrivel. They're like, nope, 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 get that away from me. I don't like that. What is it? What is it that you don't like about that? Like they literally won't hit record to do a video. What is it? It's their thoughts around, they're not going to die from doing a video, but boy, they are frozen. Just trying the thought of it. They're frozen. What is the thought? What, that people are going to not like you? That they're going to hate you? My girl, they're going to talk about you, not like you, and hate you anyway. You can stay frozen and not make progress, or you can put yourself out there and make progress, because you making progress isn't going to make a dang difference what they think about you. People are going to think what they're going to think, and you can't control that. You can only control you. You can manage your own emotions. So whatever it is that you're telling yourself that's keeping you frozen and stuck of getting into this uncomfortable space that's going to help move the needle and take you forward in your life, you need to learn how to trust that you can do it. You need to trust that you can manage your emotions. And I can guarantee that you've managed those emotions for other people. You could look at a friend and go, come on, I've got you. I'll be with you. You can do it. You've been there for them as a support, but when it comes to you, you're so stuck. That's where we want to get you to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to manage it. I'm going to manage myself. I can do it. So back to Finding Nemo, how did Marlin, the father fish, overcome all these obstacles and get out of his comfort zone? Did he do it by himself? Well, the initial launch to find his son, yes, he was like, I'm going, but he met a friend along the way. And the friend was Ellen DeGeneres' character, Dory, the one that said, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. That character, that buddy that he had, helped him go. She was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? And she was kind of this naive, perfect person for him to do this with. So if you are in the frozen zone where you're like, I have got to do this thing, I dread it, I don't want to do it, maybe it's time that you find someone that will virtually hold your hand and encourage you and support you and be there for you. And if you are holding this thing that you're afraid of private, maybe getting out of your comfort zone to speak that you're afraid of doing it, or you're just resistant to it, maybe just speaking it out loud to someone is your first step. Maybe it's not actually doing it. Maybe it's just speaking it. Identify it and share that with someone. Because the more we share, the more we talk, the more we find someone to partner with us and then dip our toe in, all of those things decrease the intensity of the emotions that we fear on the other side of doing the thing. So maybe it's just acknowledging it to someone else. You already know you're stuck. You already know. You need to tell someone you're stuck. Someone that you can trust. Someone that you know will support you no matter what, someone that will go with you through the whole thing and be there for you, right? Do you have a person like that? If you don't, then it might be time for you to hire a coach, my friend. Now, if this is something that's like life-altering and you're in a toxic or dangerous situation in a relationship, you need more than that. You need a therapist, right? That's beyond. But we're talking business here. Or a conversation with a person or a coworker or your boss, and you're having trouble moving the needle forward because you're frozen, Get yourself a coach if you don't have a friend that you can confide in. Hire someone, because that is one of the best things that will help you. They'll hold the flame to you. You will be moving forward because you're accountable to them, right? You're paying them money to help you go forward. You're going to show up for yourself because they're going to help you do it. But once you speak it, share it with a human, already it starts to feel a little bit less scary. Then you say, okay, I'm going to do it on this day. And you think about, what is the worst case scenario? What's going to happen? Maybe it's you might lose friendships and you're fearing like loneliness. Well, if you lose friendships because of it, then are they really the kind of friends you want to surround yourself with? You're not going to be lonely forever. You might be in a season. Or maybe you want to ask for that raise at work. I can tell you, as an employer for 30 years, I recognize people that have the courage to come forward and ask that question, can I get a raise? Because even if, you know that a raise is due, and as the employer, you haven't communicated with the employee that it's coming, we know how much courage it takes for an employee to face their boss to ask that question. That shows what you're made of. That's the kind of person people want working for them or working with them in a company. Now, if you come at it and go, I hate my job, you don't pay me enough for this, well, that's a different story. It's all in the approach, right? But you're not going to say something like that. You just might say, hey, what are the plans for, pay increase? I feel like it's been XYZ months or whatever since my last raise. And these are the things that I've done for the business so that you see that I'm loyal and I'm a good worker and I love my job. What can I expect for that? Because I feel like it's probably getting close to time. Oh my gosh, easy conversation for any boss to have. Do it. But if it's one for quitting a job, not so easy. Have your ducks in a row. But if you're going to be true to yourself, and you know that it's something you want to do, if that boss knows that you have potential to do something bigger than what you're doing, and they're a true leader, they will release you in a way that will help you fly. They will say, you're right, you're going to hit a ceiling here, and you have so much more to offer the world than this, and I'd hate to lose you, but I totally understand. So I'm giving you my perspective. Now, that's me. I love people development, though. So if you have a boss that's just, has a strong grip on their employees, they're very controlling, they're, all of that, I understand why it would be scary, but that's even more reason to talk to them about leaving your work and building your own business. All of this is connected to what you're fearing on the other side of doing the thing. When it comes to whatever the thing is, jumping off a cliff, off of a volcanic rock in Hawaii into the water, and it's 20 feet high, right? Just getting the courage to jump off the cliff, whether it's that or whether it's showing up on an Instagram live and you've never done it. Oh my gosh, I know how that felt. I was sweaty under my collar. I was wearing a white fuzzy sweater the first time I went live on video. I didn't know what to expect. What if nobody came? What if they came and they hated me? All of those things went through my mind, but you have to get to the point where you dip your toe in the water and then you just jump and say, I'm going to do it. Because what's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? You can manage your own emotions. I know you can. You can get out of your comfort zone in the center of that bullseye, get into a stretch zone, or if you're in that outer circle where you're frozen, you know what to do. Speak it to someone. Ask them to partner with you. You know what to do. And you know that you can trust that you can handle whatever uncertainty is on the other side. You can handle it. I know you can. And if you feel like you absolutely can't, that's where you're going to hire someone because they're going to help you do it. And they'll condense time so you can do it quicker. It's the fastest way through. But if you're sitting there stuck, I'm hoping that this podcast episode will help you get out of that comfort zone and move the needle in your life, because when we're not moving forward, we're stagnant and we're not growing. All right, my friend, that's it for today. I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to hit that link to join my free 3-day camera confidence challenge. And until next time, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.